Okay guys, thermal expansion, what is it and how can it affect you and your plumbing system? Here we've got our old hot water tank, and the pop-off valve here was dripping through the pop-off drain pipe out onto the garage floor, which is back over here. As you can see, they had a crappy wood stand. That's not a good thing because when the hot water tanks leak, they rot out the wood and then your hot water tank becomes unstable, comes crashing down, not a good thing. So, thermal expansion, what it is cold water has slow moving molecules. When you start heating hot water, the molecules become more rapid and take up more space within the closed reservoir of the tank. Well, that creates extra pressure. And this is a temperature and pressure safety relief valve. If it exceeds too much pressure or temperature, it will pop off or drip or run constantly, one of those three things. So to take care of that, you should really have a thermal expansion tank, and what that is a small reservoir, so that when your hot water tank thermally expands and creates more volume and pressure within the tank, it will push that extra volume and pressure up into this small reservoir, and then when you dissipate that pressure by running a faucet back in the building, it will come back down into the tank before causing this guy to pop off. Now if it does start running, it can create a high water bill and it can create a mess on the floor if it's back in the space of the building and that pop-off valve has not been taken down through the floor or exit through a sidewall to the outside of the building, or taken down through the floor and then out to the outside of the building. It can drip onto the floor and ruin your subfloor, ruin your tile, ruin your linoleum, carpet, whatever you have inside the building there, and cause a lot of water damage. That's not a good thing. So to properly take care of this, you need to add a thermal expansion tank, and most importantly, you need to keep your water pressure coming into the building regulated. On a well system, it's not as big of a deal because there's less chances of it raising in pressure. And some would say the same thing about the city, but I've seen water systems in the city get as high as 120, 130 pounds per square inch, which is very excessive and way outside your local and uniform plumbing code standards. Your water pressure should usually be between 70 and 80 pounds in the city, and that's pretty decent water pressure. If you're on a well, then you're probably going to be anywhere between 50 and 60 pounds as long as your pressure switch is working correctly. So therefore, anywhere between 50 and 80 pounds is the most optimal water pressure range to be operating at. Now, if you're in an area where your incoming water supplied by the city is fluctuating and going anywhere from 60 to 120 pounds, you should regulate that. Because the most important thing is you're going to set this thermal expansion tank 2 pounds less than the cut-in pressure. Now, if your water pressure is regulating and you set this at 58 because you took a reading of 60 when you were here, but then a week later your water pressure in this area goes up to 80, this thermal expansion tank is no longer set to the correct pressure and is no longer going to do its job optimally. So add a pressure reducing valve, anywhere between $100 and $200 for one of those. Put it right on the main line inside the crawl space. Set the pressure to what you want it, and it'll be good like that for a good long while. Pressure reducing valves, depending on the water quality, usually last anywhere between 5 and 10 years. So that's something else to think about, later on down the road. Your hot water tank here, those are built to last roughly 10 years. If you have really good clean water, you might get 12 to 15. If you have really good water conditioning systems, water softener, any type of a conditioning or softening system, you could expect 12 to 15. If you have really crummy water that's, 25 to 30 grains hard or harder, you can expect 5 to 8.